Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Kidney Korner. I am your host, Craig. I'm also the executive director and founder of the Get in Position Foundation, Inc. Welcome. And this is going to be another great episode. And this series that we got going on for the month of March. And March is actually National Kidney Month. So we're celebrating that all month. And we have a special series, and that series is entitled "I'm So Sorry to Hear That." It'll make sense in a few minutes as we bring along our special guest for today. And the Kidney Korner Podcast is a podcast from the perspective of a patient, a kidney patient. I myself dealt with kidney disease for 23 years prior to receiving my kidney transplant. And one caveat in what people don't understand is that transplant is a form of treatment. It's not a cure. They haven't found a cure yet for kidney disease, but it does give you a better way of life, more options, a little bit more freedom. So I'm thankful for that. But without further ado, I want to bring on a special guest. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a kidney patient. He's currently on dialysis. And one of the things that I wanted to do, and the reason why we developed this particular platform, is for current day kidney patients, dialysis patients, those who are seeking transplant, to have a voice, to have a platform to tell their story, also to help other patients. I can recall, and I'll be very brief here, I can recall when I was on dialysis and being in the center, I saw a lot of individuals who were just giving up hope. And I wanted to become a mentor. And a particular organization that I had belonged to told me that I couldn't because I hadn't received my transplant yet. And it made me so furious because I knew that I was doing well. And I just wanted to help my fellow man who was dealing with the same thing I was dealing with, to help them along. And for them to tell me no, wow, that was kind of heartbreaking. And so when I had the opportunity, here you have it, the Kidney Korner Podcast. So listen, share this link with someone you know who may need to hear this information. Share it with someone who may not have kidney disease. They may be a caregiver to someone who does. Share this information. Our contact information is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It will be scrolling throughout the podcast. So subscribe, share the link. And without further ado, I would like to bring on our very special guest, brother of mine. I actually met him through his wife. We used to work together a long time ago back at Sprint. And I found out that he was dealing with dialysis, and they contacted me. And it was such a pleasure meeting him and just walking alongside of him. I appreciate him trusting in me, holding his hand and walking alongside of him. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gecoba Talley to the Kidney Korner Podcast. Hey, brother, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And thank you so much for agreeing to be on the Kidney Korner Podcast today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. And man, you look just awesome, man. And I know from experience, people, when you come in contact with individuals and they find out that you're on dialysis, they always say something like that. Oh, you look so good.
Yeah.
do you get that? Do you
I get it
that?
all the time.
Like, as to say, what does a person on diet supposed to look like.
Look like, right.
Right. It's wild to me. But again, man, thank you for being on the show. Um Listen, our series, we have a very special series going on this month because it is National Kidney Month. And I guess I want to start here from the top. Everyone has their own individual story.
Hmm.
And I want to start with how did you learn of your condition or that you had kidney disease? How did you learn of that?
Well, it actually started when I was driving trucks. I used to drive trucks for a living.
Hmm.
And every time I would go and get my DOT exam, they would tell me I had a lot of protein in my urine, and that I need to follow up with my I need to follow up with a urologist to
Hmm.
find out why is it so much. And that was just a warning.
Mm.
And as the years went by, I could pass my DOT exam. They would say the same thing, same thing. So I noticed that my health and stuff started to deteriorate with it. And
Mm.
as I got more serious about it, it came to a conversation of, do you know what's going on? And I was like, I just know as you get older, your body changes, and the kind of work I do is not really good for me. But, and it's like, yeah, but you have kidney disease. And after they did the biopsy and everything
Mm.
and finally diagnosed me with it, they told me what was going on. That at some stage, I would probably need a transplant and I would be on dialysis. And that
Mm.
just blew my mind.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Wow.
blew my mind out.
Okay, so let me recap what you just said. So you're driving trucks
Yes, sir.
and you got to have these checks and balances every year, sort of
Hmm.
like a certification, I guess, to drive trucks, and there's an examination involved, correct?
Yes.
And so how many years went by you doing these examinations and they're telling you the same thing?
Mm, I want to say it went by, it was a number of years. It
Mm.
was a number of years.
Mm.
And the thing was, I didn't think it was that serious because they kept saying the same thing.
Okay.
And until I started to feel it, I started feeling different. And then I
Mm.
finally followed up with a urologist, and that's when we got into the depth of it.
Okay. So was it a urologist or a
A
nephrologist?
nephrologist. I'm
A
sorry.
nephrologist. Okay. Okay.
Nephrologist. I'm
A
sorry.
nephrologist. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because, all right. I get that. I get that. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. So, when you were diagnosed, was it in stage? Was it stage 5?
I think I started out at stage 2. Was it 2?
Was it 3? Stage 3,
It
maybe?
might have been stage 3. Yeah, stage 3. Because
Okay.
my numbers were declining, and they declined it dramatically at one time in like a few months, and that
Oh,
was yeah.
okay. So you went from stage 3, you were diagnosed at 3,
Mm-hmm.
and within a matter of months,
Yeah.
it just declined, went to stage 5,
Right.
end stage. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when your nephrologist at the time suggested, okay, dialysis time.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me get this straight. You you go in 1 month, you're stage 3. And then the next month, or I don't know what the time frame was between that time. And now you're stage 5, end stage, and the nephrologist says, okay, you got to start dialysis. How did that make you feel? I mean, where were you in your mind?
Well, at first it came as a total shock to me when he said, "We got to start dialysis tomorrow." I was
Mm.
like, "Wow!" And it devastated me, man. I just felt like it was over. And he was like, "Don't look at it as being over." He said, "Dialysis. A lot of people that go on and live a healthy life on dialysis, on a prosperous life. He said, but don't just look at it as being over. I said, I just got a death sentence, man. And he was like, no, it's not a death sentence. He said, there's plenty of options. You can get on the transplant list. And I just, it was hard to register. And then it was even, it just, I sit in there, man, for about 45 minutes, just in silence, just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe we had finally reached that stage.
Wow. 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 I could imagine. I really could. And you know that I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And now did you know of anyone else that was on dialysis, or did you ever hear of anybody else being on dialysis?
Actually, I had a good friend of mine. We used to run together,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a lot of work together. And he was on dialysis,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched how it made him feel. And some days he couldn't come out and work with me. And on his dialysis day, he was just sick, man. I mean, it just took a toll on him. But he was an older guy. And actually, he was like a brother to me.
Okay.
And he had diabetes too. And this about a year or two before I found out that it was well, 2 years prior to that, he died. He passed away,
Mm.
and he just gave up. He said he was just tired. His sister
Mm.
called me that Friday and said, if you want to see Edward again, you probably need to come see him today because he won't take the medication. He said he don't want no more dialysis. He said he's just tired,
Wow.
and the doctor said by Sunday he'll be dead, and by Sunday he was gone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
and that
But
just that really broke my heart, and I was like, wow. Yeah,
right.
and when the doctor talked to me that day and told me about it, all that just it replayed in my head again, all over the whole scene, and
Mm.
I was like, wow, this is what I got to look forward to, you know.
Wow. So it was almost as like PTSD, almost
Yes.
post traumatic syndrome. Wow. 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 Okay. Okay. So you replayed that day hearing about your buddy. My condolences. And it just ran through your mind when
Hmm.
the doctor told you that's where you had to go. Now, I wanted to backtrack again because you said he had diabetes too. So, were you a diabetic?
No, I wasn't diabetic. They told me mine came strictly from high blood pressure.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Which is, ladies and gentlemen, that's the number two uh, cause of kidney disease. The first one is diabetes. The two most leading causes or risk factors of kidney disease is diabetes and high blood pressure. Okay, so you had high blood pressure. Got you. All right, all right. Wow. Oh man. Okay, so now it's time to start dialysis, and and he says immediately.
Immediately.
Wow. Wow. All right. So I know what that means. That's you got a port in your did you have the port in your chest?
Yes, they put the port. And backing up a little bit,
Mhm.
prior to that, we knew, like I told you, a year or two before that, we knew that my kidney numbers, my kidney count was declining.
Okay.
So he said we are going to be proactive, and that's when I went in and had my port put in my arm. So
Oh.
I had that put in a year before, and he was like, let's just do this because there's no way around it. He said, it's coming. We just don't know when and we don't know how fast, but he said, at least this part will be done. So I went
Okay.
in and had the surgery done, and that was devastating because they did the surgery when I weighed one thing, when I had one weight on me.
Mhm.
I went in weighing about 423 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So when they put it in too deep. So
Mhm.
when I started dialysis, they had to go back in and bring it up some because they couldn't get to it.
Oh
They had
my
to bring it
goodness.
closer to the surface. So I had to have
Right.
that surgery all over again. And of course, I had to have the port put in. It was man. Let me tell you, it was devastating. To be honest, I just
Mm.
didn't know what to do or who to turn to. Just I really wanted to give up. I really did. I really wanted to give up.
Wow. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Having to go through all of that all at once.
And then I caught COVID on top of it. So, we're dealing with COVID. And it's
Man.
just, I'm like, oh my God. I'm
Mm.
like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Right. One thing after the other, on top of the other. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Man. Mm. Okay, so yeah, so you have a fistula.
I have a fistula.
You have a
Yes.
fistula, so they put it in too deep. So you said you was weighing like 400 over 4
I was
at the time?
420, at the time I was 423 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And believe it or not, I used to win bets all the time because people say, you don't weigh no 423 pounds. I say, like whenever we went to the parks and stuff and they say, well, guess your weight,
Yeah.
I would always win. Always.
Oh,
Always win.
I I don't know if that's something
I
to
don't know if
be
it's good,
proud
man, but
of.
it's funny though. It's kind of funny because
Right.
I didn't look like I had that much weight on me, and I guess the way
Uh-huh.
I moved, it didn't seem like it.
Right.
But and it'd always be wrong. They'd be off bad, man. He was like, nah. He was like, step on the scale again. They're like, step on it again. I'm like, I'm telling you what I weigh. And, he's like, no way. That could, they have me spin around and turn around and do all. I'm like, you're like, you got to take everything out of your pockets. It got crazy, man. I thought it was funny.
Thought you had lead in your pockets.
Yeah. He was like, wow, man. He said, I missed that one. He said, I've been doing this for the guy that Columbus said, I've been doing this for years and I've never been off like that.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were a hit at the county fair. Got you.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Wow. Okay. So what year was this when you was diagnosed?
What
What year was
year?
this? Because you said COVID. So we was in COVID. So it's like
Yeah,
20
2021.
2021.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Wow. Mm,
But check
man.
this out. This the thing about it.
Uh-huh.
They didn't know what COVID was then. So this is what happened. I got so sick and they couldn't figure out what it was. I kept going back and forth to the doctor, kept going back
Right.
and forth. And we didn't find out it was COVID actually until 2022. And what happened was she
Mm,
said, we're going to try this last thing before we put you in the hospital. She said, we're going to just give you antibiotics for a whole month. And she said, we don't normally do that. But
mhm.
she said, we'll take all these for the whole month and we'll see. And actually, I got better. But
Mm.
they never did say it was COVID. But when I got to when 2022 came out and COVID came out and hit,
Mhm. Mhm.
they said that's what it was. But they didn't
Ye
know. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. It was new all over the world, and it was hard to detect. They didn't even have, like, the tests to
Right.
really pinpoint what it was. Is it the flu? It's not quite.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. What is this?
Cause they treated me for flu
Mhm.
and they were just trying everything, man.
Everything. Yeah, and not to mention you gotta have dialysis.
Oh,
Um, uh, yeah, 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 yeah. Wow, devastating, devastating. Um, how were your dialysis treatments first starting off? Because obviously today, you do not look like 420 something pounds.
no,
Okay,
actually
so
I'm down to 255 pounds now.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Kudos to you, brother.
Yes.
Kudos to you, man. That takes a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work. Wow. Kudos to you, my man. Kudos. Yeah. So how was dialysis? Because
Oh man.
I couldn't stand dialysis. I
Let me tell
hated
you.
dialysis.
Well, I looked at it kind of as a humbling experience. But the
Mm,
first day I went in there, I
mhm,
was terrified, man. My heart was racing. And the nurse was like, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not. I've never been here before. I've heard about this place.
mhm,
And and the first day it was just horrible. And I give credit to this one nurse. We call her Mimi, which her name is Marilyn, and
Mm-hmm.
she works for DeVita of Paulden, and she was the best, man. Let me tell you, this lady here,
Shout out
she
to
helped.
Maryland.
She helped me. She helped me through it because she was the only one that could stick me,
Mm.
and and she would come in on her off days, on the days that I came, just so she could be the only one to stick me.
Wow. Shout out to her for real.
Yes, and man,
Shout out to her for real.
and she's still my tech today, man. And let me tell
Oh,
you,
wow.
yes,
That's awesome.
yes,
That's awesome. Shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. We gotta make sure she sees this, man, so she
yes.
can get her flowers for real.
Yeah,
That's
her name is Marilyn,
dedication.
and we call her Mimi, and
Mimi.
she's
Shout out to Mimi.
yeah, Mimi from the Philippines. She's
Awesome. Awesome, man. It's always great to have technicians and nurses like that who actually care, especially in this realm, in this field. Uh, because being a patient, to your point, you were terrified,
oh yes,
and
man.
I could imagine, looking at it or hearing you say it, there was a bit of anxiety there. It's all new to you. These machines are going off and beeping, and you see people there laying there, or in the chair with quilts and blankets on them, and you know, I yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. And to people watching and listening, as a kidney patient or a dialysis patient, when you described about sticking,
Oh
that that is in my opinion, um, the most grueling part of dialysis.
yes.
And what you have to understand, these needles,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the gauge of needle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 15, well, they start you off with 17,
Yeah.
16, then they go to 16, then ultimately 15.
Team.
The the only way I can describe it is the smaller the number,
Mm-hmm.
the thicker the needle,
Right.
or the bigger the needle.
Nita. Yes.
So so a 23 gauge needle is very, very thin, very tiny.
Right.
So let's think about it. Think about that when you
Mm-hmm.
do the numbers. 17, okay, it's a little big, and they drop it down to 16, it gets bigger. And when we talk about bigger, we're talking about the diameter of the needle. That we're not talking about the length of it. Now, even though these needles are very long,
Long. Right.
but we're talking about the diameter of the needle gauge. So 23 is really tight, can barely see through that. But 17, 16, and it gets a little wider. Yeah. That's excruciating pain.
Yes.
And not to mention it's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's two of them, not just one, because you got to send and receive. Now, I forgot the medical terminology of the arterias and the other. I forget it, but I call it a send and receive. The
Mm-hmm.
blood goes out, goes through the machine, gets cleansed,
One push and
gets
one
filtered.
pull.
One push and one pull. Absolutely, absolutely. And so that was one of my. I couldn't stand that part.
Yeah.
That, I hated going. I don't know
Mm.
about you. I mean,
I
what was your process, or what's your process? Psyching yourself up to go.
well, dealing with it now versus then, because see, back then I was just remember I didn't have no numbing cream, So I didn't get introduced to that till later on. So I was just taking it,
And it's is what you said, what?
I
Numbing
didn't have
cream?
no numbing cream,
Numbing
lidocaine.
cream.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I didn't have any of that. So it was just, man up and take it. And Mimi, she was just wonderful, man. I mean, she walked me through it and I don't know what happened with dialysis or what it did to my body, but I wasn't able to drive. My balance was off real bad when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
And because my wife and my sons, they used to take me to Dallas and pick me up,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't get my bearings back. It's like my
Mm-hmm.
equilibrium was off, and I don't know. And I've heard people say it'll come back after a while, just keep trying, keep
Mm-hmm.
pushing. And I got to
Mm-hmm.
sit here one day, and I had to wait for somebody to pick me up one day, and took a long time. I said, I got to get back to driving. I said, this is what I do. I drive. If I can't do nothing else, I can drive. I said, I got to push myself to get back to that. And every day I
Mm-hmm.
would walk a little more. I would go up and down the stairs a little more. And I would just go outdoors and just breathe and get some fresh air and just walk,
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it felt like my balance was off while like when I walk, I was going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't know what this is doing to me, but Mimi walked me through everything. And she said, she'd been doing it almost 30 years, man. She said, look,
Mm-hmm.
you got to give this time.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind was telling me, you can do this, because I was actually going to go back to work. I said, well, this won't be that bad. I'll be able to come in here, get my treatment, and go right back and work on the weekends like I normally
Mm-hmm.
did. And I said, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, mm. And she heard me say it a couple of times when I came, and then she was like, do you understand what's going on here?
Mm.
I said, yeah, I had to come in, get my blood cleaned, and I leave. She said, this is equivalent to running a marathon every time you come in and get on this machine.
Mm.
She said, don't forget, this machine has no respect for man at all.
Mm.
We put the numbers in and it's going to get it.
Mm.
It don't care if you're feeling bad, you pass out or whatever, this machine will run. And she said, your body needs time to rest and recuperate. And she said, yeah, a lot of people do it and work. But she said, that's really not what I suggest for you, especially in the line of work that you do and the type of night, the time you had to be at work. And, I work from 7 to 7 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you really need to be resting, because this is she said, it's equivalent to running a marathon. She said,
Mm.
push your heart on that kind of stress. And if you're not getting the proper rest, she was like, you will not last. I was like,
Mm.
wow. And she said, I'm just being honest with you. She said,
Mm.
I've been doing this almost 30 years. And she said, I've seen a lot of people come and go in here. And she said, and I was like, wow,
Mm.
now I can't work. Now that's another stress. And, now I'm freaking out bad. Now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so my wife come get me that day from Dallas, and she noticed this this dark cloud over my head, she said. And I said, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. And she was like, wow. I said, baby, that ain't nothing but death in there. People just waiting to die now. I'm serious. I said,
Mm.
nobody speaks to anybody in there, just so cold in there. And she said, oh my God. She said, are you giving up? I said, I feel like it, but I don't want to do it to you. And she said,
Mm.
well, she said, well, I'm gonna have to let you tell everybody that you're giving up. Your grandkids and your kids, I want you to tell them that you're giving up. And I thought about it on the way home, man. I just bawled like a baby, man. I couldn't stop crying. I was like, oh my God, how can I break this to my grandkids and my kids who depend on me, especially my sons, they look up to me for everything. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I tell them I'm just copping out?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I sit down and I pray and I meditate. I said, Lord, I can't do this by myself. I don't want to do it by myself. And I need you now more than I ever needed you in my life, because this thing is mentally killing me, because I couldn't sleep. Like when days I had to go to dialysis, I wouldn't even
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep. I just stay up.
Mm.
I stay up all day and all night and just go, because that's the kind of anxiety it had on me.
Mm.
And when I told my physician about it, she prescribed me some pills, and I tried the pills, and at every time at night around about 2 o'clock, I don't know how them pills release inside of you, but I would start having like a panic attack from the pills. And I told that didn't start till I started taking the pills.
Mm.
And so I said, I stopped taking those. And I went back to see her. I said, I stopped taking those because I didn't like the way it made me feel. And I told her what the symptoms was from it and all that. She said, yeah, well, we're going to discontinue those now. I said, okay, that's good. But through my family support with my
Mm-hmm.
kids and my grandkids and my
Mm-hmm.
in-laws, everybody, man, putting in and encouraging me, hey, you got a lot to live for, and knowing that God has a better plan for me, we can make it through this.
Mm.
But in my
Absolutely.
mind, I'm saying to myself, it's taking out so many people. What's so different with me? What's so different with me? Do I got to look forward to the end just like them? And everybody's everybody's walk in life is going to be different.
Mm.
And I say, Lord, and I used to ask him while I was sitting in that chair, man. I say, why am I here? Why? What is it you want me to do while I'm here? I
Mm-hmm.
can do nothing. I felt like I was useless. I'm like, when I get off the machine, I'm so tired, like I've been running a marathon, that
Mm-hmm.
when I get home, all I can do is go to sleep. And when I first started, it took me a day or two to get back together. And by the time it's time to get back together, it's time to go back to dialysis.
Mm.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I say, but by and by, things got a little better and I got a little stronger. But I started conditioning my mind that, hey, you can do this.
Mm.
Hey, you can do this, man. You can do this. And
Mm.
then now, with the way I deal with it now is, hey, I got to have it to live. Just like you had to plug up your cell phone to charge, I got to
Yeah.
go plug in to charge me. That's the way I look
Wow.
at it. And I say, well, hey, I got to have it.
That's good. That's good, man. That dog a hunt right there. That's really good right there. You said a lot.
Yeah.
And because this platform is also to encourage those others who are like us, who are on dialysis. What would you say is the ratio? I'll put it that way, between physical uh stamina and mental stamina. What's the ratio? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? What is it? 70? What is it? 80-20? As far as the mental and the physical.
I would say 70-30. Being mental, 70% mental and
Mhm.
30% physical.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
your mind, man. I mean, you remember they always say that the mind is a terrible thing to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That is
Mm.
so true. Because it's
Mm.
all mind over matter. And once I
Mm.
started conditioning my mind and started thinking about other things and trying to overcome it, actually I started to feel a whole lot better. I mean, what
Mm.
you have the days you know, where you don't feel good and you're tired and it's a lot of ill feelings that go along with it.
Mhm.
But it's a mind over matter.
Mm.
If you start down that rabbit hole, you'll go.
Mm.
What you have to do is condition your mind and you got to accept where you are. That was my biggest thing, accepting this. I just couldn't
Ah.
accept it. I
Mm.
just couldn't accept it. I'm like, no, why me? And then I thought about it. Why not me? And what I did when I go in now, and it was like I was put there for a reason. I don't know why, but maybe I was put there for a reason because nobody used to speak to anybody in that center. When we came in,
Mm.
we'd be sitting in the lounge waiting to go in. Nobody would say anything. Like,
Mhm.
everybody had their own, like
They
everybody
was to
upset about,
themselves. They
yeah,
was to
everything.
themselves.
And basically, when I started talking to people, they were just upset about what happened to them because it taken them from their life. I talked to some lawyers. We even got a doctor in there, man. We got a doctor that comes there. Yeah, they
Wow.
told me, and that kind of, I don't know why that made me so excited. They were like, yeah, just say we love to work on Wednesday because he's here. We got a doctor that sits over there, and all the nurses and the techs, they always over there asking questions and stuff. And they was like, it's nothing to him, And they was like,
Wow.
they said that was just so inspiring to them. And I said, wow. I said, I had to come in one Wednesday and meet him. They said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They say everybody loves him. He come in on Wednesday. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started realizing who I was and what I was called to do, that this was just a stepping stone. And so I started coming in. Good morning. How's everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And something, Then I got a hold to one person, and he said, let me ask you a question, man. He said, I noticed you come in and you go out, man, and it seems like this just don't bother you. I say, really? I said, is that the facade I'm putting on? He's like, I'm serious, man. He said, I just say, what is it? Is he not getting the same treatment we getting? What is it about this guy here? And I said, well, let me tell you. I said, first of all, I'm a believer.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in God and His faith. I said, I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I'm a true believer in that. And I don't know what the reason is why I'm here, but while I'm here, I'm just gonna make the best of it. So once I started talking to him, you'd be surprised somebody else hear you talking to him. Then they join the conversation. Right. Now in the morning, you come in, good morning, Mr. Taylor, how are you? I said, how you doing, Mr. White? How was your weekend? Mm-hmm. And then now we tell each other, hey, we'll see you Thursday, or we'll see you Tuesday. Now communication is opening up, and I feel like I'm there with a purpose now. So it's no longer about me. So, when I come in, hey, where's such and such? They said, he had to go to the hospital. I said, oh, okay. And I said, hey, then when they come back, I say, hey, where you been, man? You went on vacation without telling me, He's like, yeah, I was in the hospital a couple of days, man. I had such and such. And, then I share my story with him. But let me tell you the downside of all that. Is when you can actually sit there and watch somebody pass away in one of them chairs. That right there mentally destroys me. I'm a man of faith and a man of God, and I truly believe in what God does, and I have no problem with the way He does things. But as part of my ministry, I just haven't gotten over the death part yet. That's the hardest part to swallow.
Gotcha.
Because we all sit around like we're having a conversation, and somebody goes out, and you watch them work on them, and they didn't make it right in front of you, man. And then you still got 2 hours and 30 minutes left on the machine.
Yeah.
And this just happened, and you're like, do I tell them to stop, let me go home? Or do I continue on? And that bothers me mentally. And plus, when somebody comes around, now you've been talking to this person a while. Just if you can't imagine this for 1 second, I call you and say, hey, Craig. Hey, I just called to see how you were doing, man. Let you know I appreciate everything you've done. You're in the Kidney Korner Foundation. I appreciate everything from getting position. And I'm done, man. I can't go no further. I'm done. And I've had plenty of those conversations with people at the center. They come over to my chair. He's like, Mr. Taylor, I just want to tell you, hey, it's been nice knowing you. But this is beginning to be too much toll on me and my family, and me for one, and I'm out. And I'm like, out? What do you mean? You can't just be out. He said, yeah, I'm done, man. Today's my last day. I'm not coming back. And I was like, wow. So now I gotta process that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, what do I say? What do I do? Is there anything I can do to make him turn around? I'm like, oh man, I said, come on, it ain't that bad. We're in this together, I look forward to seeing you on Thursdays and Saturdays, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I know you look forward to seeing me, man. You're not gonna. He said, Tell, I can't take it. I'm done, man. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I hear about it a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two later. They say, you remember such and such, he passed away. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, wow. And that's happened a lot there with me. And I'm like, and I'm instead of pressing on the Lord, how do I deal with this? What do I do? I mean,
yeah, it's, I mean, you can only do what you can do.
right.
And, while you were speaking, I was just thinking about, you discovered during the course of it, as Mimi, uh, informed you that this is a marathon, right? It's not a
Mm-hmm.
sprint. It's a marathon. And you felt, it's not like you were immune to not feeling that way, but you felt like you was at the brink, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
your support team
Mm-hmm.
system, family, friends, uh, inspired you to let you know your, what I call your why. In that moment, you had to discover your why. It's better to live than to give up. And I try to inspire others, especially you and others who are with the Get in Position Foundation, that you got to find your why. I had to find my why, because I don't know anyone who's on dialysis who doesn't get to that brink,
Mm-hmm.
right, to that point, to say, look, I don't know how much longer I could take this. But what got me over the hurdle or the hump was discovering my why. And you couldn't bring yourself to telling your sons, your children, your grandchildren, your family members, that I just can't do it. So, shout out to your wife for putting that pressure on you to say, look,
Yes.
I'm not going to tell them.
Yeah.
You tell them that you can't do
Yeah.
it no more. I ain't gonna say nothing. That's on you, bro.
Yeah.
That's kind of how she put it to you. And we're speaking to individuals. If you're watching this, if you're there on dialysis and you were contemplating giving up, find your why. There, it's out there.
It's out there. Mm-hmm.
It's out there. And to the other people who, there's nothing that you could do. You can only do what you could do. And I think you've done it. But the other part is on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
They have to accept it
Mm-hmm.
and receive what somebody's saying to them. Because if they were really paying attention, you were saying that, hey man, I care about you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, man. We ain't like that, but you in here, we in here together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what you told them. We're in here together. It's not much you can do after that.
Right.
If they don't accept, you can't do anything about that. I'm reminded of when Nicodemus went to go see, he visited Jesus at night because he didn't want to be caught in the day. So,
Yeah.
but he visited him at night and was trying to understand. But Jesus told him, he said, whosoever would believe.
Mm-hmm.
Even he knew that there's some people who's going to reject this, right?
Right.
He knew. He said, whosoever believes, you have the freedom. So I'm just telling you, brother,
Right.
it's not much you can do. You just do what you can.
Whatsoever.
Whosoever will pick this up or
Mm-hmm.
believe it, let it be. So, wow, it's quite interesting. And maybe someone is viewing this and probably, or listening to this and asking, well, what's the good side of dialysis? It's a treatment. It's a form of treatment. It is an option. Um, it is, we need it.
We
A
need it.
kidney patient, when your kidneys don't have the function and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you have to do it. you need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, 70% mental, 30% physical. That mental piece outweighs the
Mm-hmm.
physical.
Yes.
If you get that mental piece together, that the physical has no choice tag along, but to tag along. So to you dialysis patients out there, um, do whatever it is you have to do
Mm-hmm.
to get your mental stability together. We know it's tough. One of our motto and disclaimers here on the Kidney Korner podcast is that we're not healthcare professionals. That's our disclaimer. We are not healthcare professionals. However, we are experienced professionals. We have the experience. We know exactly what you're going through. And we both had to find a way to get ourselves together, right? To pull ourselves along, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
so you were saying like, I had to talk to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, get it together. I had to
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I even went as far as actually reaching out
Mm-hmm.
to a good friend of mine, Dr. Leomi Bliss, who's a rehabilitation uh, psychiatric practitioner. Hey, I need to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
It and I know culturally,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us don't want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm telling you, you have to.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
got to get it together. You got to get it together. So moving right along. Now, okay, we're at the point where okay, you diagnosed. That was devastating. That was something to deal with. You got over that hurdle, right? All right. And now we're on dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, accepting that,
Mm-hmm.
accepting that. And uh, Get in position foundation, we don't say that this thing has us, we have it.
That's right.
And we got it by the neck, right? We
Right.
got we got our foot on its neck. And trying to keep it down as
Right.
much as possible,
Right.
right?
Right.
And okay, so now we got it. We found out why. We got to keep going to treatment. Every day is a struggle
Mm-hmm.
to do that, but we need it. We got to have it to stay healthy. Um, you have done an awesome job losing the weight, getting down to uh, 200 and some odd pounds, which is great, awesome, which is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want that transplant, you got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what some individuals don't understand,
Oh yeah.
that you got to be a good candidate. And
Yeah.
also kudos to you because you are on the wait list at Emory University. Congratulations.
Yes. I know that's
Congratulations.
and that was a struggle in itself because the first time I got on the donor, I said I wanted to try and get on the donor list.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady just crushed my spirit. And they said, Mimi said, try to get her name and find out who it was that told you that. The lady and she was from well, wait a minute. She was from Emory. I can't remember who she was or her name or
Mm-hmm.
anything. I told my social worker that I wanted to get on the donor list.
Mm-hmm.
So she said they should be reaching out to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the lady called me one day. I never forget this call. It was right after Christmas, and she said, "May I speak to Mr. Talley?" And I said, "Yeah, this is he." And I was sitting there in that chair, getting my treatment, and she said,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, this is such and such from Emory Hospital. I can't remember the name." She
Mm-hmm.
said, "From the donor list, and I just want to call and let you know you're not a good candidate for
Transplant.
for a transplant. You're not a good
Mm-hmm.
candidate. You're overweighted. Your blood pressure's too high. And often this is verbatim. You're overweight, your blood pressure too high, your BMI is way out, and you need to lose about 150 pounds before we can even consider you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow. And she's like, well, I just called to inform you that. So you have a good day. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. What do I do?
Mm.
That just crushed my spirit, man. That. And I remember coming home that day and my wife said, you look like you lost your best friend. I said, well, I just got the worst news I think that I could have got today. And I told her what happened. She was like, who was that lady you spoke to? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know, but I don't ever want to talk to her again. I said, I tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And mentally, that destroyed me. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be transparent with you. It destroyed me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And it really set me back because now I'm trying to figure out, is it even worth it? Why carry on? And then I remember going to church that Sunday, and I think the message that day was keep pressing on no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget that service. And he was like, nobody could say to you when the end is. Nobody knows that.
Mm.
Nobody knows that but God,
Right.
Nobody knows what the dash means between your life
Mm-hmm.
but God. So for somebody to tell you something, and he kept saying, I'm speaking to somebody here. I don't know who,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody needs to hear this message. And that just lit a fire in me. I said, you know what? She told me that. Who was her to call and tell me something like that? I said, she could have told me in a better frame. So, now I'm getting an attitude about it now. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't throw dirt in my face and I'm still living,
Mm-hmm.
And that started my journey right there, man. That lit my fire. That
But
really motivated me more than anything.
well, okay, so let's talk about that because now what she was saying wasn't wrong.
Wasn't wrong. She was telling the truth, but
She was telling the truth. And now, okay, so I get your perspective, but I think, and I'm just giving mine,
okay.
because I think that should have been motivation. That wasn't motivating for you when she said it.
Well, not at the time because the fact that
Okay.
you got to remember now, I'm weighing 400 some pounds. How in the world am I going to get off? And I'm not knowing how the process and how this transplant thing worked. I just thought she could have broke it to me a lot more professional and a lot better than what she did.
And
Because
so
she could have told me, she said, during this process, you got to weigh such and such amount. But she was just so blunt, and it was horrible, man. I mean,
okay,
it really,
I get you. I get
and
what you're saying. I
the way
get
she
what you're
came
saying.
across, man, at the
Right.
time,
Yeah.
I'm at my
I give
lowest point. I'm just starting dialysis, and now you call and slam me with something
but
like that.
she don't know that. And
She
see
don't know that.
the
Right.
reason why I'm saying that, and the reason why I bring it up is because again, we got people viewing this, we got other dialysis patients, kidney patients watching this
Right.
program, and it's just like, and I'm not saying that you're a child, I'm not trying to belittle you or anything like that,
Right.
but the same thing that we teach our children
Mm-hmm.
is that this world ain't gonna give you nothing. This world don't care about you,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
that, like that. And so when you're dealing with like the healthcare industry, and especially because that's her job,
That's her job.
that's her job. Okay, what I got today? How many I got today? Right? Let me see how many calls I got to make. All right, this is the not fit or not a good candidate pal. How many people I got to go through today? And now I hear you about, just explain it to me a little better. Now she doesn't know,
She don't know.
right? She doesn't know. All she
Which they
got
don't
is
mean.
your name, your numbers, right? Or your numbers here. and because it's a evaluation team, right?
Right.
It's a committee that you was assigned to, and I'm just explaining how the whole evaluation process works.
Okay.
Because it's a team of doctors, nurse practitioners, surgeons, everybody. They looking at numbers, and know this: you a number, because they ask you for your name, and they say, "What's your date of birth?" That's how they look in your chart up.
Right.
So based upon that number, this is you. All right, Mr. Talley, listen, we have deemed you not a good candidate, and that's what most people think. Just because you got kidney disease and need a kidney, not everybody is automatically put on that list. You have to be a suitable candidate. Kidneys is the number one organ transplanted. And guess what? They don't have enough of them to give out and to waste. So I'm looking at it from two different perspectives, right? She don't know me from Adam. She just see my chart, yada, yada, yada. And I'm speaking to even healthcare professionals too. Now, we can't just jump on somebody, right? She told us. She gave us the information. You're overweight. Okay. Well, then I got to lose some weight. What I'm saying is, and you know, Tally, this is how, we in our mentorship program, this is how we talk, right?
Right.
We talk on the phone, and I give you both sides.
Right.
I give you both sides. And I say, okay, from your perspective, I can see that because I've been in your shoes. I've been in your chair as the patient receiving it. Now I got to see, because I don't want to give license to individuals to go after somebody, or to go report to them or report to their superior. Yo, she talked to me like that. Well, how did she talk to you? She just told you the facts. You're not a good candidate. What you want us to tell you? You know what I'm saying? Woo, like I watch a lot of back in the 90s, it was a show called Living Single. And one of the characters, Sinclair, she liked to soothe people. She say woo 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 woo. So they're not gonna do that.
Right.
Because again, you gotta know who you are, right? Ain't nobody gonna love you like you. You gotta love yourself. So number one, our approach is, okay, and I know that we're dealing with a lot. Now, some people might disagree with me. Yeah, but Craig, she could explain to my man, but also as a patient, we got to ask questions. She telling us, and it's like we have the right to say, hey, hold up, time out. Tell me what that means.
Right.
Let me stop you for just a second, right?
Right.
What does that mean? Okay. I heard you say I'm not a good candidate. All right. You running down, I'm overweight. You running down my blood pressure, my numbers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I heard you, but what does that mean? What does that mean? We still have rights as a patient. So, ma'am, are you saying to me, if I lose weight, and number two, how much weight do I need to lose? Right? So I'm just saying to all the listeners out there and viewers, if you're a patient and you get news like that, okay, I know it's devastating. I know it's a shock to your system because you're looking forward to getting on this list. I know what that's like. You're looking forward to it, but I'm saying we have to control our emotions. We definitely have to control our emotions and listen. And we talked about this. We got to listen to what they're saying, And then we got to listen to what they're not saying. Right? Because what I heard you say, ma'am, is I'm overweight, but you did not tell me how much weight I had to lose.
Right.
Could you tell me that? And wait for them to answer. If they don't have no answer, well, who I need to talk to? Right? You saying that you said that I'm not a good candidate, but you did not tell me how I can be a good candidate.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
See, so again, that's 70%. Going back to your number, that's 70% of mental. We got to utilize that as a patient. As a patient, we have to listen. Okay, they just gave me some bad news. Oh, man, another hurdle. Man, another blow. Okay, but, ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, could I ask you a few questions? Now, if she say, no, you can't ask me no question, now we got a problem. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If she telling me, no, you can't ask me no questions, I done told you what I told you, bye. Now that's an issue. Now I got to run it up the flagpole now. You know what I mean? Who's your supervisor?
Yeah.
Who's your manager? Whoever. You know what I mean? But if I can ask you some questions, let's get into it. Now, Tally, I'm gonna tell you, man, I had to learn that.
Yeah, and they said at the time I didn't know any of that, man. Everything was totally new to me, and I'm glad you're touching on this because there's somebody out there that needs to hear this. You know, because I hope and pray that they don't get a phone call like that, but it's a conversation you're gonna have at one time, and knowing what to do and what to say. Remember, I went into this whole thing just blind. You know?
Yeah, I think everybody does
when they
get it the news that hey, I got kidney disease.
You're gonna be in your feelings.
Yeah,
because it's life changing.
Talk about it. Yeah, it is life changing.
So
yes,
it's good,
sir.
You know. It's very good that you're touching on that and giving them some grounds on how to deal with it, because nobody knew. I didn't know how to deal with it at all. I just sit there and accepted it and what she said. And now that you said that it's a list she got, she ran it down to me like, hey, and you have a good day, and click, like, go on to the next call. You know, and I'm sitting there, you know, in my feelings, and I'm like, wow. I'm like,
yeah.
She could at least use Vaseline. I'm like, good God, you know.
Not the Vaseline.
I'm like, give me a kiss at least. I'm like, good God.
She gave it to you raw. It was straight raw.
I mean, man,
no, nothing.
And see, I didn't have nobody to turn to or nobody to talk to. So now I'm trying to figure this out on my own.
Right.
And it's great, man. And it's a great thing that you're doing this. I'm serious because, you know, everybody brings people in. God brings people in your life for a reason. I think that's the total reason why I met you. You know, it's amazing how we met.
Yeah.
You know, and ever since then, I've felt a whole lot better about myself and how I deal with this. And just having somebody to call and talk to at times, I really appreciate everything. And this is your calling. This is whatever you went through, this is what you went through it for.
Wow.
Exactly I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, brother.
To bring people out like me and other people that's going through it. Because, you know, like I said, in the beginning, you have nobody.
Right.
Yeah,
right. So. Absolutely. So I'll ask you this question, and it's the golden one. It has to deal, because we got into so much about being a kidney patient and also a dialysis patient and what goes on in the center. That's some really good stuff. I'll ask you this: when people find out, or you had to initially tell them that you had kidney disease and was on dialysis, 9 times out of 10, you get the sob response. I call it the sob response, but people are coming from a good place.
Right.
The title of this series is "I'm so sorry to hear that."
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. when you Have you ever gotten that a
I
response
hear it
like
all
that?
the time. Every time somebody found out about it, or even when I was wearing my Kidney Korner sweater,
Oh
a-
wow.
and somebody say, "Are you a dialysis patient?" I said, "Yes." They said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." And I'm saying, "Well, hey, it happens to the best of us, you know." I said, "But make sure you're doing what you need to do so you don't have to become a dialysis patient." It's like, "Yeah, I know."
Okay.
And then, like even like one of the ladies at church, she came up to me and she said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." And then a couple of weeks later, she came back. She said, "My doctor said they watching my kidneys because my count dropped." And she
Hmm.
said, "All I could think about was you." And she said, "I got to go back again because they're not sure enough." And I said, "Well, we'll be praying." And then she
Hmm.
came back to me a couple of Sundays later, and she said, "He said my numbers was holding stable where they are, and that that was a good thing." I said, "Well, God bless you." I was like, "That's a good thing
Hmm.
for you." I said, "But
Hmm.
whatever you're doing, keep doing it."
Hmm.
And then try not to allow it to drop and keep close eye on it because that's what happens. We
Right.
don't keep an eye on this thing, and by the time we find out, it's too late.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You see that? You see
Hmm.
you see how it's paying it forward. That's what
Paying
I
it
was looking
forward.
for. Paying it forward. So the more you educate yourself, the more you can educate others because this thing is touching a lot of people. It's now in America the numbers, the data is 1 in 7.
Mm.
1 in 7, right? Now in that 1 in 7, now we break it down by demographic, right?
Hmm.
African Americans is 1 in 3.
Mm. Wow.
So in that 7, if it's 1 in 7 in America, but when you look at the African American population or demographic, it's 1 in 3.
Wow.
So that's in the 7, it's two of us,
Hmm.
right? It's
Right.
two of us in that
Right.
1 in 7, right?
Right.
So it's hitting us.
Mhm.
It's really hitting us really, really bad. And so we have to, that's why we have platforms like this, the Kidney Corner, and also the Get in Position Foundation. Man, I'm so proud of you. And, you know, so to me, when you hear that type of response, and we know that individuals are coming from a good place in their heart,
Right.
right? That's like the standard saying
Right.
that people say.
Right.
Um, I like the way that you put it. Do what you have to do so you don't have to be a kidney patient like me.
Right.
That's good. That's a great response to the response, man.
Hmm.
That's really good. That's really good. Is there any final words you would like to say to the viewers and the listeners out there in regards to kidney disease?
Yes, I would like to say to anyone that's going through having any kidney issues or kidney disease on dialysis, I would like to say become a part of the Getting Position Foundation because you're going to need that support
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to need that terminology. You're going to need that help through the struggle. You're going to need it, and
Okay.
it's a good place to be. And it's a good team to be a part of. And whatever you do, just don't give up because there is hope. And the Kidney Corner has embraced me and let me know that there is hope. And and me myself, I am getting in position every day. I'm getting in position to receive my transplant, and I do believe I am going to get a transplant.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, brother. That's right. So, hey, man, we appreciate that plug, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
we,
sir.
we,
I appreciate all y'all do for me.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. You deserve it. You deserve that kidney. And so hey, man, if anybody can imagine anyone at 420,
Hmm.
420 some odd pounds
Mm-hmm.
and down to 2 something. That took a lot of resilience.
Instead of dropping.
That's good.
Yes.
A lot of perseverance.
Yes.
A lot of perseverance and determination.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to you. Kudos to you. Really quickly.
Thank you.
Why is it so important that you have to lose this weight? Now we know that but you're already listed. So you became a good candidate because you're
Yes.
listed at Emory. So you turned that thing around. You
Around.
flipped it,
Yes.
right? So why is it that you're still saying you're steady dropping? Why is it so important that you keep dropping the weight? Explain that to the listeners and viewers out there.
Because the weight itself is not good for you. It puts a
Mhm,
lot of stress and pressure on the organs and the body, the
mhm,
joints, and I feel better than I felt than God knows when. I can't remember because
mm,
I've been overweight, pretty much all my teenage years
mm,
and my younger years. I was
mhm,
always dealing with the weight thing, but I
mhm,
learned how to carry it on. But now I feel a lot better. I'm more mobile. My joints don't hurt anymore, and
mhm,
it got rid of one of the chronic things that used to kill me was the gout.
mm.
I don't know if anybody has experienced the gout, but let me tell you, I don't wish that on my worst enemy
Me neither.
because that is something serious to deal
It
with.
is serious, bro.
And trying to carry this weight, and and your joints hurting, your knees always hurting, your something's always hurting,
Mhm,
and it's just I feel a whole lot better. And now that I know how serious the transplant surgery is, I wouldn't have dared went under the knife at 423 pounds. I wouldn't
mm,
dare because
mm,
I don't think I would have even survived it at 423 pounds because that's a very intense surgery from what I hear. And
it is.
that's a lot of weight to put under and bring
Mhm,
and come out of. That's a lot. And it's a good place to be with the weight, period, or your overall health. My weight affected my blood pressure. It affected so many different things, my
mhm,
attitude, mentally
mhm,
and physically. I'm
mhm,
in a better state now. And I would tell anybody to watch the weight because it's just it's just it's just not good for us, especially when you start getting on up in your years.
mhm.
After 50, everything changes. I used to hear people say it all the time, but now that I'm living it, yeah, after 50, things does change.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But it's changing
It's changing
for
for
the
the
better
good.
too.
It's changing for the good.
It's
Right.
changing for the good. Well, listen, brother Tally, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us on the Kidney Corner podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're beginning to sound like a Get in Position Foundation mentor.
Hey,
You're
hey.
beginning to sound like one. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yes, sir. I sure will. I am an advocate for this, though. Hey, I'm always pushing. Hey,
Yeah,
let me
you
be the
move.
example for what you need not to do.
There you see you're moving in that direction. I
All
love
right.
it,
All
man. I
right.
love it. I love it. Listen, brother. Listen, you have a great day today and
Yes, sir.
keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a
Yes,
great
sir.
job. And I'll put you backstage, just hang out for a little while,
Okay.
and we'll be back with you. All right.
All right,
All right,
Craig. Thanks
brother.
a lot, man.
All right. My pleasure, sir. All right. Wow. What a testimony. I'm so proud of that brother doing great things as it relates to his health. He found his why, um, and he's just a great example of how you can deal with this disease, and also deal with dialysis, your treatments, and he's still in the fight. He is still in the fight, and the last thing he's saying to even to me and all of you, stick in there, stay in the ring. Keep your boxing gloves on, keep bobbing and weaving, moving around, do your little Muhammad Ali shuffle, but stay in the fight. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us. As always, please get in position as it relates to your health, and share this link, share this episode with family, friends, neighbors, whoever you think needs to hear it. There was a lot of golden nuggets there. You can go to our YouTube channel at the getinposition21.org, our website. You can also reach us and contact us at getinposition21@gmail.com. That is going to change. We have a new email address, but we'll release that sometime later on in the future. But again, thanks for joining us, and you all have a wonderful day. All right, take care. Peace.